It has been many years since we found the one true religion that has saved our planet from war and pestilence. For many throughout the world, it was a glorious day when we looked into the skies and found our answers to UFOs, aliens, and God. There were also many deaths during these initial days. We were told that peace would come once the religious zealots converted or died. The religious zealots included my grandparents from both sides. My parents told me this after they were converted and found the truth. Now that I'm an adult, I have taken my place amongst the workers. I have a decent life, I have food and shelter, I work 6 days a week, and on the 7th, I buy and any leftover money goes to the world government. This is what the exalted leader says. Our money must flow into the pockets of the powerful so that they can ask the gods for a blessing. My children will do the same unless some extraordinary skill in sport, arts, or thought presents itself to the council of messengers. It is all very simple. If we say otherwise, it becomes death.
You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically. Welcome back to the Freaky Deaky. It's your boys, Scott and Christian, coming in hot. Christian has pieced together a Project Bluebeam episode for us, and this is something we've wanted to do for quite some time, and the opportunity to finally pull it off is exciting.
It is.
It's nice. We don't touch on conspiracy theories too often, and we do that mainly because this is where we get all of our poor reviews, because people get really heated about this stuff, and they're like, you didn't say exactly what I believe. 1 star.
I thought all of our conspiracy shows were before people were even reviewing us.
Nah, people, that's where we got the bad ones. Now people are like, we get it. You guys are lovable goofies, lovable jokesters, and that's fine. And you don't know what you're talking about. We're all dinguses, and then someday we die, and that's the end. But for the time being, we're just having a good time, you know?
Yep.
So we're touching on this. If you are new to the show, be sure to follow us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube now, where you can find full-length episodes. We're making it happen for you guys. We did it. We're pulling it off. They said it couldn't be done, but here we are. So if you are listening on YouTube, drop a little comment, help us get past that algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. We're going to be spitting out some more bonus videos for you guys soon. We're just trying to get a little ahead with these regular episodes so we can focus on the video content once more. It's all about balance. Also,
that's funny you saying that.
You can find merch on the website at thefreakydeaky.com/store, I believe, or /shop. It's one of those. Or just go to thefreakydeaky.com and push on the store button. How's that? That works as well. That helps us get the show out there until we can actually monetize the YouTube channel or get advertisers for the show, so we can keep producing fantastic episodes for you guys. It's our favorite thing to do. We love the podcast. We love you guys. Love hearing from you. Social medias, all that. If you have a story of your own, or you want to suggest an episode or a topic, send it into the gang at thefreakydeaky.com, or also drop a comment somewhere. We read them. We talk to you guys constantly. We love you guys. I think that is pretty much everything as far as housekeeping goes for the podcast. Maybe these YouTube trolls are saying, hey, Scott, roll that beautiful bean footage. If you can have a throwback to Bush's Baked Beans, that's going to get us subscribers. Anyway, Christian, take it away from here.
The theory of Project Bluebeam is that the organization called the New World Order, that shadowy group controlling the world, has a plan to bring us all together in their vision of peace and prosperity. We, the people, will openly welcome a global society of workers and spenders. The man who brought this theory to the public would die of a heart attack a day after spending a night in jail. While this isn't one of the well-known conspiracies, it is easy to understand that around the year 2020, it started to get attention again. The theory actually began with a French-Canadian named Serge Monast.
Serge Monast.
Yeah. Monast was a Canadian investigative journalist, poet, essayist, and a conspiracy theorist. He was an active member of the Social Credit Party of Canada. In 1994, he published Project Bluebeam, in which he detailed his claim that NASA, with the help of the United Nations, was attempting to implement a New Age religion with the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via a
Technologically
simulated second coming of Christ. He also gave talks on this topic. In 1995, he published his most detailed work, Les Protocoles de Toronto, so the Protocols of Toronto, 666.
Oh, nice.
Modeled upon Russian propaganda first published in 1903 called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. He said a Masonic group called 666 had for 20 years been gathering the world's powerful to establish the New World Order and control the minds of individuals.
Classic.
By 1995 and 96, Monast said he was being hunted by the police and authorities for involvement in networks of prohibited information.
The police told him that?
That's what he said.
Like, this is prohibited information.
That's what he said, or was the reason they were after him. So I guess in Canada, there's prohibited.
Networks.
Yeah. He had homeschooled his 2 children, who were then taken away and made wards of the state in September of 1996 so that they would receive a public education. He died of a heart attack in his home in December of 96 at the age of 51, again, the day after being arrested and spending a night in jail. His followers claim his death was suspicious, suggesting he was assassinated by psychotronic weapons to keep from continuing his investigations. And it also said that Jerry Fletcher, the Mel Gibson character in the 1997 film Conspiracy Theory, was modeled on him. Did you see that movie?
Conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
I was like, for the life of me, I was thinking conspiracy theory, and I was trying to remember what it was about. I know I've seen it.
I've seen it too. I remember liking it, but I don't know what it was about, other than a harbinger of future Mel Gibson.
Damn. No, that takes me back. That's so weird. But yes, definitely saw the movie. Couldn't give you any information about it, though.
You were probably a kid when it came out.
It was like peak Mel Gibson.
Yeah, because I was like 20s, I think, maybe early 30s.
Yeah, probably like mid-90s.
Yeah.
Probably in your mid-90s.
No, I was not.
Oh.
All right, so now we've told you about the founder of the information. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. The founder, he's not the founder of Project Blue Book, if it's a thing, because...
Well, it's not. Project Blue Beam, though. He might be.
True. That is totally true.
Nice try with your information there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's start with some Wikipedia to get the basics. Even though Serge Monast, if he were alive, would consider the site NWO propaganda.
Well, it kind of is. So it checks out. Get to the reptilians, Christian. No.
Okay, so we're going to jump to a book I read.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, called Project Blue Book.
All right, guys, new drinking game. Every time Christian says Project Blue Book on the episode, take a shot of orange juice.
And also, at some point, we will do some Project Blue Book on here, because I grew up on Project Blue Book.
And I grew up on Kelly Blue Book when I was trying to buy a car. We probably won't touch on that because that feels like it might be a different podcast.
Yeah, it could be.
But for the time being,
I don't know if we come at you with enough testosterone for that podcast.
We definitely do not.
Yeah. Okay, so it's from the book Project Bluebeam, written by Aidan Brofillis. I don't know if that's a real name.
Aidan Brofillis?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sounds made up.
Yeah, sounds like a name that a character on Saturday Night Live would use. He says it is global manipulation through money and power to create a unified world government and a society that consists of masters and slaves.
What a shocking twist.
Yeah.
As if we weren't already heading in that direction.
Serge Monast said the project would be executed using 4 steps. And again, we're going to go to the Brofillis book. Step 1. You ready?
I am ready.
Breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. What do you think that means?
If I were to wager a guess, we would have to take all of our knowledge on archaeology and break it down.
That might be a good guess. We'll move on and we'll see if you're correct.
I think I have a feeling I might be.
Yeah. In this first step, man-made earthquakes would be triggered in specific locations to uncover hoax discoveries that negate the beliefs of the majority of mankind, especially Christians and Muslims. These discoveries will be put forth to weaken the fundamental beliefs in God, prophets, afterlife, and creation. The signs of the operation are said to be the attacks on 9/11 and the wars that have been ongoing since. Also, the many devastating earthquakes that have hit Indonesia, Thailand, India, Pakistan, China, and in a callback, one of our ghost stories, Japan.
Yes, that was a good episode.
Yep. And 2 of these earthquakes, as you know, led to massive tsunamis. The author points to one quake in Kashmir, which was measured at 7.6 on the Richter scale and took more than 200,000 lives, though the official death count is 75,000.
200,000 lives?
Yeah, from an earthquake.
There's a lot of dead people from an earthquake.
I mean, that's what happened in the Indonesian tsunami, was that many. But
That's
that
just
is
crazy
a lot.
to think about. Like, we had a pretty big earthquake and we're like, 10 people, or if even that. Did anyone die from the one that?
No.
Yeah. So that's kind of weird. It's just weird to picture that. That's a large number from just.
It's too large to picture almost.
Yeah.
It's like you can't imagine that. You can be like, oh, that's a lot, but I don't think our minds really grasp it. Witnesses reported seeing pink clouds minutes before the earthquake struck. The author believes, or Serge Manasse believes, that it was HAARP technology, and we used to have a facility here in Alaska, which was said to be the cause of a lot of shaking in the world.
Yeah, and there was I forget who it was out here that was actually doing a lot of posting about it. There was some lady that you could reach out to that had a lot of information on it and all this stuff. I was like, dang, that would have been perfect for the podcast if they didn't fall off the map.
One of the, the Baggages, since we're here in Alaska now.
Yeah, personally, I have dinner with them every weekend.
Yeah, the Baggages, for those of you guys that aren't from Alaska, are a pretty big political family. The father of this political family has a weird connection to JFK's assassination in the fact that he disappeared in a plane with one of the guys from the Warren Commission many years ago. Plane has still not been found.
Oh, yes, and you can find that in episode 6 of this entire podcast.
Yeah.
The Alaska Triangle.
Yep, good call on the numbers. But one of his sons used to go on Coast to Coast AM and talk about the HAARP facility here in Alaska, which I don't believe is operating anymore.
Yeah, either do I. Because I think I tried looking it up recently.
The facility's still there, but I don't think it's being used.
Quote fingers, it's definitely not being used anymore, guys. And it's definitely not adjusting with weather patterns.
As they say, you can do your own research on that one.
Dior.
Next, we're going to get to one of Scott's favorite subjects. CERN's discovery of the God particle is spoken of as one of the hoax discoveries. 2001, A Space Odyssey, Star Trek, Star Wars, and E.T. are all made to draw us away from religion. And Jurassic Park was made to get us to accept evolution.
This is all in
one of the steps.
The Jurassic Park was made to get us to believe in evolution.
Yes. This is from Brofillis, not necessarily Manasse.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I was sitting there, I'm like, that almost feels like a stretch to me, but...
Yeah, this is from the book. One of the things was, because of how skeptical I can be on certain things, I've known about Project Bluebeam since it basically came out. I heard it way early on.
Sure, yeah.
But since I'm so skeptical, I wanted to make sure that I found somebody that actually, to get some of the information, I wanted to find somebody that actually is behind this theory. Because if you go online and read some stuff, it debunks everything.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's what the powers would be.
That's what they'd want.
That's what they'd want, is they'd want it debunked, whether it's true or not. So you have to... And especially with conspiracies, you have to be really careful, I think, where you go. But you also need to get information from the people that feel it. So that's true. That's why I picked Aidan Brofillis' book. I didn't even look at the name until later on. I'm like, oh, that's a weird name. He must be hiding from the government.
Classic.
Yeah. So this first step is the culmination of 200 years of preparation by the dark powers behind the New World Order.
It's a long time to be fermenting.
Unless you're wine.
Yes,
it's a long time still, but it might be better. In the 50s, with the popularity of television, mind control was achieved in much of the Western world.
Now that I believe.
Yeah, and we
have talked about that.
Yeah, recently, where I'm like, no, it's already too late. Now mind control is said to be more sophisticated with the use of LF, ELF, and VLF frequencies. Have you ever heard of those?
I don't think so, no.
I've heard of them. I didn't know what they meant. So just in case everybody else doesn't know what they mean, it's low frequency,
Very low frequency.
extra low frequency, and very low.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
And
But that's also what is that, the like infrasound and shit, right?
yeah, pretty much that.
So I think they believe that to be mind control,
That is,
like opening you up for mind control.
that's one of the technologies they used. They use now for mind control.
Bigfoot does the same thing.
You know what bats use? Echolocation.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a superhero. My favorite was when I watched a blind guy ride a bike and walk around the world using echolocation. They actually seriously, man, it was weird.
He walked around the world riding a bike. No, walking a bike.
No, he rode the bike.
Okay, because you said rode a bike and walked around the world.
And he just would go about his normal life, and he would just click and hear the sounds bouncing back at him. Be able to. It was weird.
That's weird.
So anyway, moving on to step 2, which I call the show in the sky. Now that belief in traditional knowledge has been tweaked, it is time to bring out the specifically designed holograms. The loss of this traditional knowledge will cause a need for a new belief. In the new world, that new thing will be the Antichrist as God. So obviously, Project Bluebeam is a little bit Luciferian.
Yeah, kind of always suspected as much.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of stuff with New World Order and all that too. It's all about one end game here, folks.
Yeah, that's what they say.
That is what they said.
I wonder if they don't, like, did I just offend those people? Because usually they say
What do you mean those people, Christian, first of all?
Anybody that would normally be like they about the New World Order, all of a sudden I just said
yeah, now you said they, and they're like, oh, I thought you were one of us.
Yeah.
You're one of us.
They must have got our voices mixed up.
Yep, that happens.
So to produce this kind of change in belief, the actions must be taken on a grand scale. All at once, the world will see holographic images in the sky. The author says new technology makes possible the ability to produce 3D images in the sky, which is...
When was this book released, by the way?
I don't know, man. No, the book, I got a lot of information was recently. But the original thing came out in like 95. The original Project Bluebeam.
Gotcha, yeah.
So once the people see this, the people of the world will abandon their religions and follow this new age belief of the Antichrist.
Nice.
What people see and hear will be based on their beliefs and language. In the U.S., Jesus will be seen. Muslim countries will see the Mehdi, I believe that's the way it's pronounced. Which
the Mehdi?
Mehdi, M-E-D-H-I, and it is a messianic deliverer who will fill earth with justice and equity, restore true religion, and usher in a golden age lasting 7, 8, or 9 years before the end of the world.
Now, I guess my question for that wouldn't these nations talk? And so you'd have we have news outlets, right? And so you'd have reports of different things being cited. And at that point, you'd probably be like, oh, it's weird that we saw Jesus, and then you guys saw this person, and then they saw this, and then Buddha was over there.
I swear.
Christian, you sinner.
I've turned that... Oh.
That was mine, actually.
Oh, I was like, what the hell? Everything's off.
It's my weekly hour report.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's part of the process. We'll get more into it and see the effects on that. But basically, whatever religion you believe will have its central messenger appear in the sky, and you will receive auditory hallucinations in your brain.
Luciferians see the devil coming down from the clouds, like, oh, he's finally back. Yeah. Sweet. Come on down, Satan.
Yeah, we're tired of all these religious Christians down here or whatever.
Like, I knew we were right. I knew it.
The message from these divine hoax figures will change to show their support for the Antichrist. And this will help create the mass conversion to the new religion. So basically what happens is these images of these, religious figures will talk to you about, in your language, based on where you're at. And at some point they're going to say, but it was misinterpreted.
Yeah.
This is the actual God.
And this God loves when you shop on Black Friday.
Exactly.
When you give us your money.
Yep.
And actually, should we take a moment to explain what the beginning of this episode was? Do you want to tell people what the beginning of this episode was, so nobody just randomly thinks like, "What the fuck was that?"
It is a story from the future
based on your research of Project Bluebeam.
Yes. So just something to kind of see the world,
ease you into the thought process.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually. It is a fictional.
Well, you remember last week when we were talking about night shift stories, and the girl called in to the insurance company, but she was already dead because she got hit by a semi.
Yes, I do.
This is like
that.
this. Maybe it's just a future thing.
And also, this story is 100% made up. So
now it's made up.
Yeah, in the future, maybe it happens, but for now, it's made up.
Yeah, let's hope not.
There you go. Just to clarify.
Nobody, even skeptics, want to see the Antichrist.
Well, skeptics especially don't want to see the Antichrist.
Actually, I think skeptics would be okay. It's the Christians that would be in trouble.
I don't know if they'd be in trouble or if they just be like, nah, I don't want to go do that.
We're going to talk about it in this story.
Oh, fantastic. I love talking about it in stories.
Yeah. Manass predicted that step 2 will be executed after a major financial meltdown hits the world.
Uh-oh.
Paper currency will be abolished, replaced by
Bitcoin.
Exactly. Well, it says electric currency, but that's what I was thinking too.
But we did it. We pulled it off.
The world's food and water supply will be controlled by the United Nations. So the United Nations is also, again, a bad guy in this kind of theory.
It doesn't sound like there's too many good guys in this theory.
Nope. So for those who do not embrace the Antichrist, religious fanatics will be unleashed on them.
Are you having a brain aneurysm over there, Christian?
You know, when I was like, I'm not putting on a live in, the spell check puts unsliced. And it's so I'm like, what the hell?
They've been unsliced. Coming soon to Papa John's. Unsliced. Are you forever alone?
Do you just want your pizza just one big round disc?
Are you into gigantic tacos?
Many will be killed during this time. The world's human population will be reduced by 1/3, allowing the Antichrist to claim the throne.
So that's like Revelations talk right there or something, right?
It's exactly what it is. Thought control will be changed with his ascension. So after the initial thought control and he comes to power, it's going to change because it'll need to. Once you get the message across, you have to change the message to keep people listening.
Yeah, but wasn't the whole premise of a Antichrist supposed to be like fooling people into believing that he's good?
I mean, it's
like people are supposed to fall for it.
I think that's the Revelations story or interpretation. But I mean, once he comes to power, though, he doesn't have to hide it anymore. So in theory, he'd be hiding it right now. Yeah. And then when he comes to power is when it doesn't matter. He can do whatever he wants to.
Yeah. It turns out I wasn't the devil.
Yeah. Or for old movie buffs, Damien.
Or for our Spanish listeners, El Diablo.
True. Those that do not believe in the new emperor will be exposed to frequencies that drive them to lunacy and even their deaths. The left behind masses, see what I did there? Will beg for their devil god to assert more control.
Beg for their devil god?
I mean, it's the Antichrist. Can't be God, right?
I guess that's true.
I got a quote from the book, a little bit from the book. Again, Aidan Brofilus. And this is some of his evidence supporting.
This is the juicy stuff.
That the project is ongoing. Look at the rising suicide rates, increasing crime, diseases, including the bioengineered HIV virus, mental illnesses and depression, drug addiction, sexual aberrations, and countless other symptoms of human social behavior transformation. I am sure if one of the founding fathers would return to the world today, he would be taken aback to see the face of the American society. However, if he were a Freemason, like some of them are accused of being, he would be awfully pleased at the accomplishments of his evil successors. Most of the sociological and psychological conditioning that we can see today was achieved using primitive TV media. The next generation conditioning equipment is the mother of CNN, BBC, and Fox News channels. It is a direct mind interface that will enable thought pattern disruptions across the globe with the Antichrist and his crew able to control which particular area to hit with what type of thoughts. There's a lot in there, huh?
I mean,
this theory has everything. The Masons.
All the good stuff.
It's got a bunch of anti-Semitic takes on it.
Holograms.
Is that anti-Semitic?
No, but it's got holograms.
Oh, yeah, it has holograms.
I'll just add into the list of things.
Yeah. The God particle.
CERN, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Now we're on to step 4. What are we at on? Okay, step 4. This is set up for the podcast. Supernatural manifestations using secret technology, which just, now that I read that, explains our last 2 episodes. It's just Project Bluebeam.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
That cut and dry.
Yeah.
Christian figured it out. Good news, everyone.
Yeah. Believers will find their zeal for the new religion wane, as it always does throughout history. High-tech innovations will be used to keep the world in chaos. Us little people have less time to question if we are busy trying to stay alive. Here's the fun one. Tech will be deployed to lift people into the heaven. And this tech
UFOs
is supposed to already exist. Christians will believe this is the rapture. Others will think this is alien abductions.
Yeah, the rapture isn't even biblical. The rapture hasn't happened. It's not a real thing.
I don't know. I mean, if it happens, people will float up in the air, and there's plenty of people that believe they will just disappear.
Yeah, but the rapture is, I'm fairly certain the rapture is not based in biblical knowledge. I think it's something that was made up.
Later on?
Yeah, well, no, something made up for entertainment purposes, for movies and shit.
I mean, there was a great movie with David Duchovny in it about that.
What was there?
I can't remember the name of it, but it was David Duchovny, and I think it was his wife, Téa Leoni, and it was good.
Nice.
Coming from an unreligious skeptic.
Yes, the best kind.
It was great, and it was made you think afterwards. That's all I'll say. Look it up.
Think about it.
Again, from the book, Project Bluebeam. Fate of the deniers. The obstinate among the people will be imprisoned or killed in concentration camps. We call them FEMA camps now. Rebel nations will face alien attacks, droughts, and earthquakes. All paper and plastic currency will be phased out and replaced with our electronic currency. An implant will turn people into walking food stamps. They will be given food, water, and clothing for working. There will only be masters and slaves in the world. Any diversions will be death with an iron hand. Any rebellions will be quashed with all the blood spilling might of modern weaponry.
Are they gonna? I lost that thought.
It's the technology.
They got me. They
extra
got me.
low frequencies.
Damn, these extra low frequencies. No, I think that one might have been a very low frequency, though.
Yeah.
Because it was like right there, and I was like, are they gonna? And then it was like, I guess I plucked it out just in time.
Yep.
Not today.
I threw in, those are all the 4 steps, but I threw in some technologies that might make some of this possible.
Are these parodies, or is this going to be real?
No, this will be real.
Okay, gotcha.
So for the alien invasion tech, I mean, I would say through entertainment, we've been conditioned for alien invasion for years.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Some of it's also nanotechnology, which is relatively new, but we're moving along pretty well.
Relatively terrifying, the capabilities for it.
Yeah, it can do great things, but it also sounds scary as hell.
Sounds like they won't use it for the great things.
Yeah. Thought control and two-way telepathic communication is the upgraded mind control for us humans. Of course, there's the tracking through our devices, which is, in 95 would have been like, people would have, that's crazy. Now it's like just part of our life.
Yeah. Now it's like, these are my 14 iPhones.
Also, some of the technology mentioned in the book was cloning.
That's getting creepy. And we already do that. So.
Yeah. Well, we don't do it with people.
So they say.
Yeah, so they say. Cloning might make it seem like the Antichrist has risen people from the dead, because that's one of the theories. Mob control will be essential, and we already know that there are things they can use in crowd control situations, like radiation waves or sound waves. They can make you feel sick.
I never thought about cloning as being like a raise people from the dead situation, but that would make a lot of sense.
It does. I also think that this author made that assertion to kind of make a connection there, but it could be used.
You'd be like, oh shit, they're back. What the hell? I know that person died, and now I'm looking at them.
Yeah, if you're deep into this, if you're deep into Project Bluebeam, that makes perfect sense. And of course, we already have the 3D holographic and voice tech that's pretty impressive. And using this tech, the Antichrist will be in our heads, speaking directly to us.
Great.
A couple fun facts I came across. And you know what happens when I say, I came across a couple fun facts.
Yeah. Usually means you're about to make something shitty.
With the new religion, we get the torture and ritual sacrifice of Christians.
Yes.
Prisoners will be used as test subjects, which they already have been.
Sounds
for a while.
Pretty sweet.
I don't know why for a totally different reason, I had this Reddit post saved, but I threw it in there because I thought we needed a little bit of lightheartedness.
That doesn't hurt every once in a while.
It's kind of dark lightheartedness.
Well, that is the opposite of lightheartedness, isn't it?
The world would be better. Oh wait, this comes from the last of the Bastion. Every time a Christian conspiracy theorist says the world is actually ruled by an elite cabal of Satanists or something, I just think, man, I wish. The world would probably be better off if it was. Of course, they refer to the fantastical boogeyman baby sacrificing Baal or Beelzebub or Lucifer or Saturn worshippers when they say Satanists. And not atheists, Satanists. Most of us seem to be. But even then, it'd still be better. I'm surprised nobody has made a political satire comic where it turns out the world is ruled by a secret cabal of Satanists, but they turn out to be mundane Levian Satanists that play Dungeons and Dragons during their Freemason Lodge meetings or whatever. I'd read that.
Yeah, it sounds like something you'd read.
We like parodies. I know you do too. So, if you get sometimes parodies for really dark subjects are hilarious.
They do be like that.
So anyway, what do you think about this? I know you tend to be a believer, but this one seems pretty kooky.
No, I'm not saying that I 100% agree with this step-by-step of how everything's going to go, but you could easily, especially from 1995 to right now, you could see how certain people could witness what has gone on in the world in the past 20 years and be like, oh, maybe he was right. You know what I mean? Same with we look at what Orson Welles, 1984.
That's not Orson Welles.
Who is it?
George Orwell.
George Orwell, sorry, Orson Welles. So isn't that the popcorn guy?
Orson Welles is War of the Worlds. Orville Redenbacher is the popcorn guy.
Orson Welles popcorn. Yeah.
That was one of the funniest little segments I've heard in a long time.
No, I was trying to, because I'm trying to read it from here, and I saw the or, I'm like, Orson Welles, that's got to be it, right? No, 1984 book, everyone references that thing into oblivion at this point, Yeah, I'm sure 90% of people haven't even read it. They just reference it based off a reference that they heard someone else say based on a reference this person said. But yeah, I could see, it's hard because there's a lot of people. You're also talking to someone who read the, Behold a Pale Horse or whatever.
Me too.
And I don't think the guy's that kooky.
I think he's very kooky.
Exactly. Yeah. See, I can read that and be like, this guy's kind of onto something,
Here's a fun thing. Serge Monast is exactly like that author in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like it.
Do you remember the Protocols of Toronto's book I mentioned?
Yeah.
The Protocols of the Elders of Zion is one of the most famous anti-Semitic works of all time. It was produced by the Russians in 1903. So basically it's written while Rasputin's still alive.
Classic. Yeah.
And it was used, at first it was just a regular old story, kind of parody, kind of, the politicians read it and made fun of the Jews.
It was adapted for other purposes.
And then they're like, let's reword it a little bit. And then when they reworded it, basically they used it to help persecute the Jews.
Yeah.
And then, a few years later, a guy in Germany comes in. He's like, hey, this is the truth. Let's persecute the Jews.
We did it.
And then a few years later, you get some radical Islamists in there that are like, hey, look at this book. It's got to be true. We believe this. And then again, you see it in the United States. So anything with that book attached to it throws up red flags right away because it's fake, but it's used like it's a reality and people have died because of it. So,
sure.
And when I mentioned earlier in the podcast about Serge Monast and his political party, which I need to go back a little bit for.
I knew you'd come back for that.
Yeah.
And I removed it myself.
I would have removed it. Oh, the Social Credit Party of Canada, known anti-Semitic group.
The Social Credit Party of Canada?
Yeah. I don't even think they're around anymore. I think they merged later on.
It's weird thinking about Canadians being anti-Jew for whatever reason. I don't know why that's...
Because we always get the jokes about how everybody's so nice, but not everybody's nice.
Well, we've all seen Letterkenny.
Yeah.
It's not as fantastic as you think.
Yeah, and this, actually, the funny thing, I think Letterkenny is Western Canada.
Yeah.
And that's where this group came into being. And what they used was farmers liked them because they came
into beans?
God damn it. Because they kind of preached what the farmers at the time wanted to hear because the farmers were having trouble at that time.
And they blamed the Jews?
I mean, That's who everybody blames when there's problems.
Yeah, isn't it funny that that's in the Bible, though? Isn't that in the Bible? I think it's in the Bible.
It started early.
No, adopt that, you dingus. Yeah, let's hate the Jews. No, there's reference to them always being persecuted. Like, God pretty much being like, all right.
That's the Old Testament.
I obviously am not anti-Semitic.
No. Well,
but see, it's easy for you to get away with.
Saruman is the Illuminati. Passed into the spiritual realm for a second. Government agents. We do not, on this podcast, we do not do that kind of stuff. There's, just because somebody said that the Jews, and I really expect some of this to be gone. Trust me, that is one group of people we don't want to piss off.
Oh, so now you're...
Shut up. Shut up.
No,
you're making it... Okay, let's get back.
You're very scared about this segment right now. Like,
I don't like anti-Semitic. It's one of my biggest...
Nobody's anti-Semitic here. So it's okay not to like anti-Semitism because we're not anti-Semitic.
We're way off topic here. We're way off topic.
I'm coming into it.
I'm just saying, this guy was an anti-Semite. We're not talking about the other people. This guy was an anti-Semite.
Maybe he was. Dude.
He was.
Maybe he was.
There's
I'm not saying he
there.
wasn't. I'm saying that I'm not just someone that blankets statements anything that if people call someone an anti-Semite, that I'm just going to immediately be like, oh, well, I guess he's an anti-Semite. Like, I have to see it for myself. Same with racism.
So we just had this whole long conversation about that. You have to see it for yourself. I just showed it to you.
No, because there's a lot of people that'll say that just to derail you from looking into something.
The guy copied the title for his Protocols of Toronto 666.
But that could also just be stupidity. I mean, 666 is a little harder.
If I was to go a little bit deeper into this guy and bring up a former Canadian that he followed that died from earlier in the century, the connection goes even farther. So,
you can say from looking into this, that this
That's
guy
all I've been trying to say.
And I know, but I'm saying as a whole, I don't like blanket statements. That's all I was trying to say.
I don't either.
This guy could be an anti-Semite.
This isn't a blanket statement.
Yeah.
This is just like he's just one person.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's definitely attached to anti-Semitic people.
Do I have to put in the title now that it's Project Bluebeam and a heartfelt discussion on anti-Semitism? Have we been talking about it this long that it needs to now be also a part of the episode?
I knew there would be some discussion afterwards just because it was I thought it would be more Antichrist type stuff, but
somehow I latched on to the...
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is, but I mean, I've already been called racist once this week, so why not just keep it going?
Yeah. One of the things
can I just say this? All I was saying is I love the Jewish folks. I love Jewish culture. I love Jewish people.
I don't love this. I don't ever look at it as I love any group of people. I just generally like people.
People, right. Yeah,
and whatever I end up finding out they are later.
It's a person by person basis. I'm sure there's plenty of people of every race I don't like.
You talk to me all the time. You know I pretty much don't have people I hate in this world.
Yeah.
There's not very often you hear me go off on people.
Yeah, there's just been a couple races that you're like, these people again. And I'm like, whoa, Christian,
yeah,
easy.
According to your editing.
It is the miracle of production, but it's a science. And you love science.
Yeah. So anyway, to wrap it up really quick.
Okay.
My feeling on this, if it was an actual thing.
Yes.
Again, it was already completed.
It's already taken place.
Yeah. Just like the brainwashing of the world, and it's already happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, then Serge Monast in his Blue Beam shows that he's just he's a misinformationist, I guess is what, if that's a word. He was put out there like some of the people in the UFO community in the past that we've talked about to make it seem like it didn't happen because, oh, look at this guy with his holograms and God speaking different languages all over the world. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already been done.
It is interesting seeing that technology come about, though.
It
like,
is.
Especially like the music holograms and shit like that.
Yeah, and but it doesn't necessarily, like, to me, especially with these kind of things, or Behold the Pale Horse.
Yeah.
Everybody is after the Christians is what these conspiracies end up being. And that's not necessarily the case. Sure, people attack Christians all the time for ridiculous reasons,
Oh, constantly. But everyone's got their own hatred in their hearts.
Yeah. And maybe we should just spend less time hating and worrying about the NWO coming after us when we've already shown that there is no government group that can stay organized well enough to have a new world order.
Yeah.
The only
everyone
option
is pretty mental.
If it was to work, the only way it would work is large scale corporations running everything, which that doesn't happen in this world, right?
That happens exclusively in this world.
So,
but I could see on like the whole hologram thing, and I get why people would be concerned about that, but the inability to decipher whether or not something was real based on...
Nobody would believe it nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. You'd see a giant hologram and you'd be like,
the kids would be like, graphics aren't even good.
Yeah. Like, what is this, original Xbox?
Yeah. Here's another one that kind of throws this whole theory out the window for me. Let me ask you this. If you looked up into the sky and saw Jesus and he's talking to you inside your head, and then all of a sudden he's like, okay.
Shop at Best Buy.
No, he'd be like this. We were a little bit wrong on the Christian stuff. This is the God. You wouldn't change your beliefs.
No, yeah.
And there is no evidence ever in history of large scale dropping of a religion.
Yeah.
For any reason.
Well, it absolutely have to be pretty grand gesture and that's why that whole cloning thing, I could see that. I could see it as not so much like turns out I was wrong. Sorry, the first time around. My name's Jesus. I was wrong about it.
Yeah.
That would be like an immediate red flag. But certain like miracles and shit like that, like if you have a group of people around you witnessing this, it'd be easy to kind of that group think, where you get into that group mentality and you're like, this really is happening.
Right.
Like,
but also
I could see it.
Large scale, Muslims aren't going to drop Islam in large scale. Christians aren't dropping Christianity. Hindus,
and
Buddhists.
Satanists, they're not dropping the devil. They love that guy.
Yeah. For some reason, they didn't really care what the Jewish religion thought. Obviously.
Must be the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it's like people, there's just no way people drop their religion that easily.
Yeah. It's usually, some people do, but that's...
Not large scale, though.
Yeah.
Not on a mass scale. That has never happened in any traceable history.
Yeah.
And I just think it's opposite of how our brains work. We would never give up on that.
True.
Me as a skeptic, I wouldn't look into the sky and all of a sudden be like, oh, Carl Sagan's talking to me.
Sweet. Where you been all my life, big guy?
He tells me that this guy over here is the guy I need to follow. He's the God.
Yeah.
What's his name? Antichrist?
Yeah, it would be.
I'm like, no. Yeah. And that's where I think some of these like doomsday conspiracies are wrong. You can attack Christianity or any religion all you want to.
Yeah.
It's not going away. You can't stub it out. Even if less people believe in religion or God now than ever before, it's still a part of their DNA.
Yeah.
On a certain level. That doesn't change human conditioning.
I think there would need to be some modifications to Bluebeam to modernize it a bit.
Yeah.
And then I could see a bunch of people being like, oh, this is real. But the thing is, like, right now, everyone already thinks it's real. Like, I agree with a lot of the...
Actually, this is not a very popular
Are you serious?
theory. And
maybe I just follow weird people on Instagram because I hear a lot of, it's Bluebeam, folks, we're there.
A lot of conspiracy theorists actually don't get behind this one. Again, I think it's the...
Yeah, Serpo. We traveled to planet Serpo, and that's fine. But Bluebeam, no.
Like other people obviously feel the same way about the anti-Semitic stuff and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's not who wants to be in that kind of world, even if it's like these people are, when you're telling me these people are, going to rule the world in a global government. I'm like,
why can't it be because they're smarter than us?
Yeah. I'm like, global government doesn't seem that bad to me. So I'm like, I would get hate because
you're part of the opposition.
I'm part of the problem.
You are, yeah.
But I'm like, having separate government seems like it gets a lot of people killed.
Yeah.
So I'm like...
That does happen.
I'm not quite saying this stuff's bad. I mean, as a red-blooded American, you don't want anybody in Europe telling you what to do. I get that. But eventually, either that's going to happen or we're all going to be extinct.
So heed Christian's warning, guys, and stop hating on the Jews. What the fuck? No.
I don't understand it, but
Yeah, but there's hatred for everyone and every culture, and every race, and every gender.
For me,
all two of them.
For me, I don't understand hatred at all. 'Cause I really can't think of the last time I hated somebody.
Yeah, I can, but that's road rage for you, you know?
Oh, I thought you said the last time I hated. I thought you were new when I hated somebody. I'm like,
yeah,
really?
it's all your road rage. Nobody knows that about you, but you're incredibly violent on the streets. On these streets, come on.
Oh, there was this guy in hockey, Gary. I'm not going to say his last name.
His name couldn't have been Gary. That's a very...
It was his name. And I'm not talking about you, Gary Hughes. That you didn't
I will
bother me
say
that
your
much.
name, Gary Hughes.
You didn't bother me that much. You were cool.
Yeah.
But this other Gary...
Does Gary Hughes listen?
Maybe.
Welcome to the anti-Semitism episode, I guess.
Maybe.
Sorry that you got mentioned in this one. It went off the rails a couple times. Elevator music was most likely used at some point, but who's to say, really? Maybe I fell asleep while editing.
You know what? Yeah, the elevator music just means that it got...
hilarious.
No, if it was
quickly.
If it was hilarious, Scott would have kept it in. If you hear elevator
boring,
music,
it's usually the elevator music.
Yeah.
And you'll notice it's usually after Christian says something.
Yeah. And so it'll seem right on par. All right, Scott, close us out.
All right, goodbye. Oh, China's very hungry. Your daughter she might as well be a co-host with the amount of time she interrupts our podcast, Christian. We got to really put our foot down, and I'll let you do that.
I just thank the gods that she doesn't listen, because she would have banned us.
She would have abandoned us as well.
Yeah, she'd have been like, I can't believe you guys.
And then we get some work done. Am I right? No, it's fine.
She'd be like, Dad, why did you let him talk about me like this?
Yeah, she stopped listening at like episode 2.
Yeah.
It's fine. Thanks for sticking in there with us. Yeah, you guys are real troopers out there, huh?
I had fun with that episode, even if it was crazy.
Oh, it was bound to be crazy, but it's interesting all the same.
I gotta be honest, I think we should do some more of those crazy conspiracies.
We can try, but
not too many of them, but there's some fun ones. I mean, I thought, even though we got a little ranty, I thought that's a fun...
No, it was a fun episode.
Fun subject.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
It's just we have to deal with other people's beliefs on stuff. We know how we feel about things, and we know who we are as people because we know each other. But random strangers and internet trolls, they're not so forgiving, unfortunately.
Just because I don't believe your conspiracy theory doesn't mean I'm right.
That's true.
That's the secret, man. You can be mad at me for what I said. It doesn't mean I'm right. You could be right.
Yeah. That's right. You heard it from Christian right here. You could be right.
And I hope in the case of Project Bluebeam, you're not right. But
true that.
If you are, I'll see you in the FEMA camp.
Yeah, once again, dark ending to one of Christian's episodes. Appreciate you tuning in, guys. We'll see you right back here next week for more of the Freaky Deaky. In the meantime, you can find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell your friends, share the page on social media, share the podcast on your social media pages if you wouldn't mind. It really does help us grow the show. And maybe don't share this episode first. Maybe share a lighthearted one where we talk about rainbows and unicorns and myspace.com. But in the meantime, we'll be right back here next week for more episodes of the Freaky Deaky. We'll see you there.